Okay, we're going through trying to find the equation of exponential functions in this video. Now, what I did was I gave you an example of what an exponential function looks like, and I kind of want to show you how this works. So just to show you that if you were to plug 1 into this function, notice what happens to your power. 1 minus 1 is 0. 3 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power is always 1. And when you multiply 1 times 2, you get that number. So your one term, I'm going to call it the first term, is going to be this number right here always. Okay, so let's keep that in mind as we're working through these problems. Now, your next term, look what happens when you plug in 2. When you plug in 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. You get 2 times 3, which is 6. If you were to plug in 3, you'd get 2 times 3 to the second. So, and then if you plug in 4, you'd get 2 times 3 to the third. So what this is saying, and I kind of want you to know the basic what all this means. This is your first number, and you're multiplying by 3 over and over and over. This is the common ratio. That's what you're multiplying by each time. And then this power in this form will always be x minus 1. That way, when you plug in 1, it's gonna kind of cancel that 3 out. And that 3 goes away and leaves you with just this number in the first term. So what we got here says give the equation of an exponential function with a y-intercept. So what you're going to start out is your 0 term. When you plug in 0, you're going to get 3, and it says when you plug in 4, you're getting 48. Now I've got to figure out what in the world am I multiplying by each time to give me these different values. So, and that's what an exponential function is. So here's how I'm going to work this. I'm going to take my 0 term, and I'm going to multiply it by some number, and that's going to give me the first term. I'm going to multiply by the same number, that gives me the second term. Multiply by the same, that's going to give me the third term and the fourth term. This equation, and you're going to get better at this, and you're going to do it different ways. This equation is going to give me the value of my fourth term, which I know is 48. Again, my 0 term was 3. I'm going to multiply by x 4 times, and that's going to give me my fourth term. Let's clean this up a little bit. This is 3 times x to the fourth equals 48. Look how easy this is to solve now. Divide by 3 gives me x to the fourth equals 16. Now, this thing's going to have two different answers, two different real answers, but what we're going to do is, in order to find that x value, is we're going to take the fourth root of 16. To undo a fourth power, you do a fourth root. What number multiplies by itself? 4 times give you 16, it'd be a 2. So, therefore, let's take that 2. Let's take that common ratio and apply it. So my 0 term was 3. My first term, therefore, would be 6 because I'm multiplying by 2 each time. My second term would be 12. My third term would be 24. And look what happens. My fourth term is 48. So therefore, since I found out what that common ratio is, what you're multiplying by each time, all I need is this and that common ratio, and I've got my equation. Your function, you're going to start with the number 6, and you're going to multiply by 2 over and over and over. And you can check that by plugging in a value, and you'll see that that's right. Now, the next one's a little trickier. You're going to do the same thing, but it actually turns out to be a very ugly answer. Your first term is 6, your fourth term is 24. And again, I want you to think of it as your repeated multiplication. Your first term is 6. You're going to multiply by something to give you the second term, the third term, the fourth term. And that fourth term will be 24. Now, I would really like for you to get used to, since we're going to the first to the fourth term, that you know that that's going to be simply 6 times the same number multiplied by it 3 times, and it's going to give you that 24. But here's where the ugly part comes in. So x to the third, when you divide, gives you 4. In order to find the value of x, which it looked like it was going to be pretty simple, but it's not, it's the cube root of 4. And I'm going to type that in. I think I've got it on my calculator here already. I'm going to type that cube root of 4 in, and I get a value of 1.587 rounded. So it's about 1.587. Now that's enough information, but my function, like I said, really ugly function, is going to be, that's the first number, is 6. So I'm going to start at 6, and I'm going to multiply by 1.587 to the x minus 1 power over and over and over. And you can check that. You can plug in the fourth, which means when you plug in 4, it means you're going to multiply by 1.587 3 times, and you will get, it'll be approximate, but you will get that 24 as an answer.